Hello and welcome to My RC Creations, where I show you what I create in the wonderful world of RC. Today we're going to do setup for a basic KK2 quadcopter in the X configuration. The first step in setup is to remove your props. Before you start any setup on your board, always remove your props. Before you can start the tutorial in this video, you will first need to set up your quadcopter as shown here. You need a quadcopter set up in the X configuration, and you need all of your speed controls to have bullet connectors soldered to the motors and to have them soldered to your power harness or power distribution board. Once your soldering is done and your electronics are in a plug-and-play configuration, you can start the tutorial. Once your electronics are in a plug-and-play configuration, connect your motor wires to your speed controller wires. The direction does not matter for now. We will fix the direction later. Once you've connected the motor wires to the speed control wires, connect the speed control signal plugs to the KK2 board. It is important to connect the wires in the right order. The first wire is for the front left motor, the second wire and the second port is for the front right motor, the third wire and third port are for the back right motor, and the fourth wire and the fourth port should be connected for the back left motor. Once those wires have been connected in the correct order, you are ready to move on to the next step. For the next step, you will need your receiver and two female-to-female 3-port JST connectors. Connect them in this fashion so that you have one port supplying signal, 5-volt, and ground, and then another cable supplying 3 signal. You only need one cable supplying the 5-volt power supply and the ground. You can then connect the cables. Connect the 5-volt, ground, and signal wire to the first pin, which is at the top. Connect the next in the signal ports running down the length in the second, third, and fourth signal ports. Make sure that the orientation is correct, so that if you have the yellow one next to the 3-port connector, have it next to it up at the top as well. Once you have done this, you are ready to power on your quadcopter and the KK2 board. First, power on your transmitter, and then plug in your battery. Once powered on, the KK2 should appear in the safe configuration. Once you have powered on your KK2, press Menu, and then scroll down to Receiver Test. Once you are in Receiver Test, you will be able to check your channels. For example, I have the aileron channel connected to my elevator input. Once you're in the receiver test screen, make sure all of your inputs are moving in the right directions. When you push the right stick left, you should have aileron left. When you push the right stick right, you should have aileron right. And likewise for elevator on the right stick, forward and back. Throttle should go up as you slide your throttle up and down as you slide it down. And rudder should go left and right as you move your left stick left and right. If any of those values are incorrect, you simply need to reverse the channels. Now that all of them are moving the correct way, you also need to load the configuration onto the KK2. To do this, exit from the receiver test screen and scroll down until you see Show Motor Layout. Your motor layout will show you the direction that all of your motors need to spin. The front left motor should spin clockwise. The front right motor should spin counterclockwise. The back right motor should spin clockwise, and the back left motor should spin counterclockwise. Click back to exit this screen, and scroll down to Load Motor Layout. Enter Load Motor Layout, and scroll down to make sure that it is in Quadcopter X mode. Once you reach Quadcopter X mode, press Enter. It will ask you if you are sure. Press Yes, and then press back. It will show you the motor numbers and directions again. To test to make sure all of your motors are spinning in the correct directions, power off your KK2 and power it back on. It should now no longer show an error, and it should say Safe. To arm your KK2, move your throttle down and to the right. It will then move into the armed screen. Once it is armed, you can throttle up and your motors will begin to spin. Confirm that they are all spinning in the correct directions. If the motor is spinning in the wrong direction, you simply need to reverse any two of the wires and it will reverse the direction of the motor. To disarm the quadcopter, press the throttle stick down and to the left. The final piece of setup that you need to do is press Menu and scroll down to Mode Settings. Press Enter. Set the self level to always. When you are done learning, you can change this, but it's very important that your quadcopter is always in self-level mode. If you are used to flying in self-level mode and it enters into manual mode, you will crash. The final test you can do to make sure your quadcopter is set up correctly is to arm the quadcopter and throttle up. Then tilt the quadcopter to one side. The motors on that side should audibly spin up. Once you are sure that the quadcopter should self-level, you can put the propellers on the quadcopter and you're ready to fly.